When you find a real estate platform that aligns everyone in the entire company financially by making us real estate agents owners, so when the average agent wins, everyone wins, that's the secret to success. And when you surround yourself with like-minded entrepreneurial people who absolutely love what they do, they love serving people, they love God and life, and you put yourself in an environment of high energy, high producing, positive people every day, you can't help but succeed in business and in life. We are changing the real estate industry and changing real estate agents' lives. Welcome to the Financial Freedom Forever podcast.
Hey, I'm super excited to have my friend Jarrod Davis and business partner on our Financial Freedom Forever podcast today. Jarrod, nice to see you here.
I'm excited to be here. That's quite an intro, man. That's quite a good video. I love it. Love it.
Yeah. Awesome. So we started a few minutes late today because we had some tech issues, but we hopefully got them straightened out, and we'll jumped right in here. But man, you guys are in for a treat to hear Jarrod's story. Man, he's an author of his own self-help book. He's a top coach for Tom Ferry. Been in a real estate business 27 years. Started off as a single agent, like most of us, team leader, running his own brokerage at the age 27. And I understand he was a team leader at Keller Williams for a while, and even an owner, or opened up anyway, a RE/MAX office, what I understand was the fastest growing top RE/MAX office in Canada for 2 years straight.
Yeah, it was the fastest growing in the world in 2015, and then the fastest growing in Canada 2 years in a row.
So that's quite the background there. But welcome to our Financial Freedom Forever podcast, and just kind of give me a little bit more of your background. Tell the listeners a little bit about yourself, and we'll just have a conversation.
Yeah, I started in real estate. Obviously, like most of us do, is to make money. And I quickly, found my place in real estate. Doing really well as a single agent. I actually started as an investor. I started in Las Vegas, and I used to buy homes in Las Vegas, and I'd fix them up and flip them. And then I saw real estate agents, making tons of money on the commission side. I'm like, wait a minute, why don't I just get my license, and then I could take that money and read? So I started on that investor side. And then, people kept asking me, man, how are you doing it? What are you doing? So I got my license, and I actually began my office with the idea of helping those people learn kind of what I was doing and how to make money in real estate. So that's kind of how I started. And then, my path just took me, obviously, I had a team when teams wasn't cool, and when teams were like, what's a team? Like, that's an office. And I was like, well, it's different because I do other stuff and I need people to help me. And so I had teams when teams weren't really around. And then the natural progression, Andre, in those days were to go into brokerage ownership. So that was just the natural progression of, hey, you did this, then you were successful, and now you should go own a brokerage. And like in today's world, it's so different. Like when you look at 20 years ago, that was just the natural process. And the natural process back then was, oh my goodness, like we are on 50-50 commission splits in the brokerage. And so being a broker owner, you made money. In today's world, as companies changed, now, we've got it started with RE/MAX, then Keller Williams, and we've got these 100% capping models, just like EXP is today. The mindset around that has changed. Here's the challenge. Most agents' mindsets are stuck back in those years, and they think, now I need to go open a brokerage. And man, I always say, like, when you're a broker, you're a broker. Like, that's the reality of it in our market, right? Like, there's not a ton of money in that. Hence why I'm sitting here today with you, right? At the end of the day. So this many years later, what I realized is my passion is really in watching and helping agents grow, watching and helping agents be successful. I knew I could do it. And for me, it was the journey was amazing, right? And so I started. Tom Ferry was my coach when I was doing it, and he helped me grow and helped me see bigger and see what bigger things look like and forecast in the future. And he ultimately made me think so much bigger than I was even thinking. And now I've been coaching for Tom for 10 years. I full-time coach. We had bought a RE/MAX office here, I don't know, in 2014, 2015, did really, really well in it. And I got rid of that in 2019 because I realized I'm working my butt off, and this is the time I'm putting in, and this is the amount of money I'm coming out the other side with. And I realized, wait a minute, my time is more valuable than that, and it's not the model that makes sense in today's business. So now I coach solely for Tom. And the reason I'm with EXP is because that's like, I look at that and I go, that's the next generation of real estate. Like it or lump it, it's the next generation. The old brokerage model is just not working anymore. And unfortunately, there's so many older generation mindsets that they just haven't adapted to that. So I look at EXP and I go, it solves all the problems that I hear everybody always tell me, because I coach a ton of people in 3 different countries who share the challenges with me on kind of where they are. And it's the same challenges. And here's the truth. EXP takes care of all of those struggles for them. Like if they were to join EXP, they take care of all of those. So I'm like, if that makes sense to me, that's where I should be.
So what are some of those challenges that you hear over and over again of the people that you're talking to, stuck kind of in the blockbuster age, right? What are the top 2 or 3 things that you say EXP solves those problems for them?
Well, and so when you look at, let's say it's a big team, and the big team decides I'm going to go out on my own and I'm going to open up my own independent. Well, so they then struggle with all of the tools, all of the technology, all of the software, all of the training, all of the support, all of that. They have to provide that. Right. And that costs a lot of money, a lot of time, and a lot of effort and energy. And so like if those people come to me and they go, man, my biggest struggle is I want to grow, but I can't do all of this stuff. So I go, wouldn't it be great if there was just one place that you could go where all of that already exists, right? And EXP solves that problem, right? The second thing is, when we look at being a broker and being broke, the reality of it is I know, like I owned, I've owned an exit franchise. I owned a Remax franchise, and I was part owners in Keller Williams franchise. And so here's the reality. I know how much an agent in profit brings into the brokerage, right? I know what that looks like, but I have to hire the staff, I have to manage the staff, and I have to do all of that. And so I know what per head an agent brings in as a profit. And so when agents talk to me about that, I'm going, man, I'm spending all this money and not making any money. They're only not making money because they're spending it all. And so if they had a set amount that they would spend, a cap per se, and every agent had that cap, and they were making money on the other side of an agent, now all of a sudden they're not spending money. They're still bringing in the same amount that they would in profit in owning a brokerage, but it's just coming in form of rev share. Right?
Exactly.
So now they're making profit without all the headaches involved with it.
Yeah, they don't have all that overhead.
And they don't have all the overhead, right? And then you've got the franchise model. And the franchise model is now, I own a franchise. I'm already giving so much money back to the franchise. I'm already sending that back to the franchise, but yet I have to be responsible to pay for my own broker, pay for my own front desk person, pay for my own staff, pay for my own that in my own little office. And you look at some of these offices out there that have 10 or 15 agents that have to have a broker, have to have a front desk person. So again, the cost is so high. I look at EXP and go, wait a minute, what if there was just one big office and we could provide staff that now operates at a bigger level, so we don't have to have it ourselves? EXP solves that. Right? And so when I look at all of that, I just go, it's the future of real estate. That's outside of all the other perks and benefits of, the rev share, the stocks, all of that we have, the camaraderie within our group, like the group that you've put together here, the camaraderie in that group of what we do to share. I love it. Right? It's amazing. Yeah.
And the health benefits, right? I was on a couple of Zooms today, and both of the people that were on the Zoom, one told me they saved $900 a month, and the other one saved $1,500 a month for his family of 5.
Just on health benefits.
Just on health benefits,
That as an independent owner, I can't offer my agents. I can't offer my staff.
Right.
It doesn't financially make sense for me to do that.
Now, owning 2 franchises and being partners in a third, they probably didn't let you in there as at that ownership level for 85 for $149 upfront fee, right?
No, no. Unfortunately, if you look at what we paid, we paid out $500,000, almost a month to one of the big franchises, right? Think of that. Think of that number.
Wow.
Our expenses were probably $140 some odd $1,000 a month to run this company, right? So think of that think of that liability. Think of that pressure that is on you as an individual when it doesn't have to be.
Yeah, that's incredible numbers. So, being a coach for Tom Ferry 10 years, being a team leader, all the hats that you've held for all these years. Let me ask you this first. When did you first hear about EXP? When did you start doing some due diligence about it and really looking into it? And then tell us what that transition looked like, because you didn't need to make a move, and you were comfortable where you were, but you saw the opportunity. So kind of share that with us.
What's interesting, I think I started like everyone else started, right? When everyone's like, well, there's this EXP company, it's all virtual. And we're like, that's not going to work. That's not going to be around for long. That's not going to last. And that was my mindset, right? And so that's kind of where I stood. Why? Because I was stuck back, in the old mindset of how it could work. And I wasn't open-minded enough to look at it and go, well, why could it work? So like I looked at it back in obviously when it initially launched, truthfully, like I was on top of it. Was it 2009, was it?
2009 is when it started. Yeah.
2009, right. So I looked at it then, and here's the truth. Here's the truth. A lot of agents were just jumping on, and I'm just going to be totally transparent and blunt, who weren't productive agents. All they wanted to do was try and recruit and make this rev share and this all that sort of stuff. And so a lot of them were single agents that were doing that. And that's what I saw in my head. Now, had I, what is it now? 11 years back, I probably would have been one of those people. But like, that's what I noticed. And I noticed might have been 3 or 4 years later, I noticed this jump. Like I looked at their numbers, looked at their agent count, and I started looking around. And what I started hearing was, this team moved over. That team moved over. This big influencer moved over. Right. And so then it piqued my interest all of a sudden. Right. Well, I know they're smart people. I know they're running a successful business. What is it? What is it that's drawing them there? And so I started to learn more. Right. And there's a saying that says like, what you don't know, you don't know. So like, I didn't know much. Right. And so I started to learn more. I started to be inquisitive. And back in those days, nobody was coming after me. That's the truth. Like no one was chasing me down. I might have had a few calls, but just because I was in the Keller Williams world and there was that transition, but no one was really sharing with me the model and why it worked. So I started really looking into it. And then, a couple of years ago, let's say 3-4 years ago, right after I had bought the Remax franchise, I noticed a massive jump of these big teams. And I'm like, okay, I got to figure out what they're doing because something's happening. And so when I look at that, that's where I found, man, it's almost the perfect world. Like it's almost the perfect world for a team who is paying a lot to a franchise or a lot to their brokerage. It's the perfect in between them going, I'm big enough, I'm strong enough, I'm going to go be my own brand or my own office, versus paying all of this money to this company or this franchise. And I realized it's almost that perfect middle world. Right. And then I started to learn more, and I started I used to make fun of the world. Like, and even when we first got in it, my wife works now for corporate. And so we'd get in and we'd pass each other in the hallway, go, shh, 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 because that's the sound that your legs make when you walk. But I didn't get that. I didn't understand it until I understood it. And then when I got in and I realized, holy cow, it's not the world. It's the immediate access to stuff. It's the immediate access to staff. It's the immediate access to brokers. It's the immediate access to help with marketing, to help with technology, to training, to all of that sort of stuff. And when I looked at that, I went, now I get it. And you don't get it until you get it. You don't know until you know. And so now I understand what that world is. It isn't the cartoon world that I'm not a gamer, I don't play. It's the place that gives you easy access to things then in the normal brokerage, you don't even have as easy access to. Like if you want to meet with your broker, I mean, how many agents have gone to their broker's office? Oh, he's not here again today. Oh, when's he's coming back? Oh, he may be back this afternoon. Oh, he may not be back this afternoon. And you're like, hey, I need to meet with you. I'm really busy this week. I can't meet till Friday. Like that's in a normal brokerage in our office or getting paid or any. And in our world, like my wife sits up in her office upstairs and people just walk in all day long. Why? Because she's virtually available.
Yeah.
Right. It's so when you pair it all together, what Glenn came up with, I think maybe I shouldn't say this, but I think what Glenn came up with, he didn't even know he was coming up with it when he came up with it. Like it's just like it just became so smart. The more I found out, the more I realized, and all of that stuff still has nothing to do with where I see the biggest value for the future of agents. Right? Where you get the rev share and you get a retirement, you get all that, which like most agents don't have that. I see it. I coach them, 85-year-old agents out there still swinging the bat because they can't retire, right? Like, you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah. Yeah. And what we were saying, that time is money, right? And you're saying immediate access. I know, you're from Canada. You're also in Florida, right? Which is a nice thing to be able to do that in our industry. But if you have to fight, you don't have to fight the 2 feet of snow or the 90-degree weather or whatever it might be. You can get up, not even brush your hair, jump into the world and be in an immediate virtual environment for a training class, to meet the broker, take compliance department training, whatever it might be. And you're saving the travel time.
Oh, 100%.
I mean, that's huge.
It's so much. It's travel time. Like, I mean, I even, at the level that I coach, I have a lot of teams that want to expand. Like they want expansion teams. And right. So when I look at that, I mean, I live in the world with those teams where they go, listen, I want this morning I was on one where they're in Miami, they want one in Orlando, and they want one in Jacksonville. And, I have one in Chico, California that now wants one in Nevada. And like, that's that world, right? And in a normal brokerage, which some of them are going through right now, they've got to have a license there and they've got to go through the process of doing all of that. And so when I look at EXP, I'm like my expansion team right now, I have all over the US and a lot in Canada, right? And so I could expand at whatever level I want in EXP, whether it's a down dirty, I got the 3 people that work with me and I'm generating leads and I'm providing all the staff for that, or we're just partners in EXP and we're going to share and help and support each other. So we can go all the way from down and dirty, man, we're a high-level rocking team and we're expanding, to just having referral partners, and that's the joy of it. It becomes your choice, like your choice of how you want to grow in this business. And it's all in your court.
Yeah, that's exactly correct. It's awesome. Hey, I want to thank everyone who's on the call. Hey, Jerry and Mary, who's on our podcast. If you guys have any questions for Jarrod, please put them in the chat box, and we'll go ahead and ask them. Now, what would you say, Jarrod? Like you said yourself, you really kind of known about it since it started, and then when it's you start seeing teams coming over, and it really started peaking. You started doing more due diligence, and you finally got it. What did it take? What happened, or what did it take for when you finally said, wow, and you actually got it? Was it a defining moment, or?
Well, I think for me, it was time looking at the model. But I'm going to say there's 2 things that if you're in it right now, is don't think everybody knows what EXP is about. Like, you've got to go share that message with them. And it's not about, man, I need to be hardcore recruiting and blah, blah, blah. It's about letting people know what it's about, because I did all the research myself. Like, I did all the research. I made the phone calls. I'm the one who did it, rather than someone saying, hey, I know all about it. Let me share it with you.
All right, so no one was calling you and trying to attract you to the company. You just, as a smart businessman and knowing what's going on in the industry, you're wanting to know what everyone's doing, and you started doing your own research.
Yeah, and then the second thing is you need to be open-minded to other opportunities, and you need to always be open-minded to that. And so for me, there was a few years in this that I was closed-minded to a few years that I looked at it. And like, if I was completely honest, I'm like, that's going to fail. That's never going to get traction. That doesn't make any sense. That doesn't blah, 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 blah. And then the funniest thing is not funny at all, actually. Very unfunny thing. COVID hit.
Right.
And our business never changed like that. Our business never changed. Why? Because we already were living in that world. Now, our agent's business changed a bit, but from the functioning level of our company, it never really changed. Right. And so then it was like, this is exactly like we are now, forced into this world. Like I was telling someone this morning, is like the levels of communication. It's always like the best to have face to face. Then it used to be phone calls. Then it would be text messages. Then it would be email, snail mail, like, all of that. Now we've got this anomaly, which is just happened because of COVID. Best is probably Zoom.
Right.
The number one way. And now, you've got, the elderly people who now are regularly doing video calls.
Yeah.
Right. And that
times are changing, man. I mean, times are changing. I mean, think about where the real estate business was, 10 years ago, or when we got started 20, 30 years ago. Mm-hmm. Even in the last 5 years, there's been a huge change, right? With the shift. And no one can deny that cloud-based companies in every other industry has changed that industry.
Yeah. And why wouldn't it in real estate? Like, I mean, because again, with I thought it wouldn't. Like, I really didn't, because I wasn't open-minded enough to look at the bigger picture. And if one thing that I've learned over the years, it's always be open-minded, always look at the bigger picture, always, think it's possible. Because like, if you look at what Glenn did back in 2009, I'm sure there were days that Glenn even said, "Oh, is this going to work?" But like, he thought, man, this is possible. This is where we could go. And you look this many years later, Glenn's doing okay. I mean, I think he's doing okay.
Yeah, I think he's doing pretty well.
Yeah.
Yeah. Being open-minded is a big deal. I mean, think about the Blockbuster. I guess, Netflix went to them, several times. I heard, ask them, "Hey, partner with us, buy us, do something." And they said, "You're not even a blip on our radar." And was it 3 years later, Blockbuster was gone.
Yeah.
So what do you say to? Well, let me ask you, what do you say to yourself, Jarrod, to someone like was closed-minded in the beginning, comfortable thinking that, that may never work because you didn't really understand it yet. Because we all talk to, especially broker owners, they built this thing from the ground up, they may have 5 agents, they may have, 500 agents. How do you approach, or what do you say to somebody like that maybe what you were thinking, several years back, to get them to open their mind?
Yeah, I'm even going to use me as an example. I would just say, listen, I definitely understand. Like, if we were role playing, I'd be like, Andre, I definitely understand where you are, because I was there too. I was there questioning, and it wasn't until I was willing to just go, hey, it's not going to hurt for me to see what's out there. And, so I did that. I saw what's out there, and then I couldn't unsee what I saw. Right. And so whether I made that change now or whether I made it didn't, I still couldn't unsee what I saw. And I would say for me, it was a long process, but I still kept coming back to how it would win. So all I'm asking you to do is just take 15 minutes just so you could see what I see. And that's it. Then because once you know, but until you know, you don't know.
I ask people, just to do the math, take a look at the video, have a couple of videos, get an idea, and don't assume the math. I had a guy I was showing a video the other day, and while the short 17-minute video is playing, I can see him doing something, and he told me later that he was doing the math from just what the guy said in the video about the percentages. And it came up in his mind, and they only talked about, EXP for 3 minutes at the end of the video. So in that 3 minutes of actual information about the model, he was deciding that because he was at a 95-5 split, that he had a better deal.
Yeah.
And I said, you don't have enough information in 3 minutes to do the math. it may take, days or weeks or months to really look at everything, because I asked them, well, 95%, why are you settling for only 95%?
Yeah.
I said, when you do the math, you end up learning that, especially for top producers, you're way over 100%.
Yeah.
How's that possible? Right. And it's, well, let's sit down and do the math together.
Yeah, and even if there's an objection with an agent who's not a top producer and they say, I'm a 95.5 and I only paid X number of dollars, my answer to that is that where you want to stay? Right? So listen, sometimes you are going to run into the objection where they do pay less. But the question isn't today, the question is their future. Is that where you're going to stay? And they often go, well, no, that's not where I want to stay. Well, then let's project. What do you want to do in the next year, 3 years? How much would you pay that broker? Why would you sit in a company and wait for that to happen rather than being with a company to protect yourself from that happening?
Yeah, and a lot of these guys don't have caps, right? I mean, they're at 95, so it sounds great, but there's no cap. So when they're doing 3 deals and then, then 50, 75, 100, when you do the math, it is a huge difference. Hey, let's change. Oh, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, even these companies out there now that do per transaction deals, it's the same concept. They go, well, I only pay X number of, deals per transaction. And I simply, do the math. Like, what does your next 3 to 5 years look like? Like right now, you're only doing 3 transactions. So that looks pretty good. Like, I would agree. Like 3 transactions, that looks pretty good. But what if you were with the right company that could get you from 3 to 6 to 9 to 18 to 25 to 30? Now do the math. Right. So sorry. Didn't mean to interrupt you, buddy.
No, I was going to say, let's change gears a little bit. And I wanted to ask you, what's your daily routine look like? Well, I mean, Jarrod's, your coaching business, everything that you're involved in. What does your day look like? And is there anything that, with you coaching so many people around, what did you say, 3 countries? What advice? I want to give some tips to some people, that help them sell some more homes. What are you? Can you share any of that with us?
Yeah, absolutely. So, my daily routine. Listen, I believe how I start the day is how I'll finish the day. So I start the day every day consistently. I believe what I do consistently every day is what's going to make me in the future. So, every morning I wake up and I am super consistent, which means, I wake up and we could call it meds, right? Meditation, exercise, diet, and sleep. Now, I'm not the smallest guy, so my biggest struggle is my diet. Like, I'll be honest with you. But listen, every day I take time to meditate. And, my meditation is nothing more than forecasting what I want. So it's creating vision. Then it's saying my affirmations, right? And that's my time in meditation. It's no more complicated than that. I exercise every morning. I walk 5 kilometers every morning. And I do that because my diet's not so great. Now, I am on a diet. Like, I fast every day. Well, listen, that's my biggest struggle. We all got struggles, man.
That's right.
And so that's my biggest thing. And then I am to bed early every night. Matter of fact, my kids and my wife make fun of me because I'm in bed before they are. And I'm like, listen, sleep's the most important thing. I plan on getting up early and I plan on having a powerful day. So like I start by taking my meds. I start my day every day. Like, I work from home, but I have an office in the basement. So every day I get dressed like I would in an office, and I come in because I believe how you feel is how you show up. How you feel is how you play. And I want to feel like I am in a professional environment. So I want to, so I show up like that. And so that's super important. I end the day with make sure I complete all my tasks. Is there anyone that I didn't talk to that I was supposed to talk to today? Is there anything that I was supposed to complete today that I didn't complete today that I should complete today? Am I prepared for tomorrow?
Awesome.
Right? Whatever tomorrow brings. So like, that's my day. And then truly in the evening times, it's family time. It's fun time. Like, that's what I do. I have 3 kids, wonderful wife. My wife works for EXP Canada. So like, that's our family time. Talking about tips. So, I mean, I can talk about tips all day long. Here's the deal. We're not in an easy market right now. Like, that's the reality. We are in a really tough market. Now, I say it's a tough market, but I'll tell you, it's an extremely good and lucky market. So you got to have the right mindset around it, because we have 2 jobs in real estate. And if you're out there listening and you're doing real estate, I want you to ask yourself, how much time am I spending in each of these? Number 1 is lead generating or prospecting for new business. We are still in a prospecting business. Andre, you've been in business as long as I have. Back in our day, prospecting is all we had. Unless you could afford a billboard or a radio commercial, then you were either in Homes and Land or the newspaper. Like that was it.
Right.
And so it was all about prospecting. Today, we're in a different world, right? And so now it's not only about prospecting, it's about your marketing or creating visibility. So every day, how much time are you spending in creating visibility? We have crazy opportunities with Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, you name it, LinkedIn, all of those. And how much time are you spending on those? Because that's time well spent. I'm not a social media, I'm not crazy about it, but I do it because it gets me thinking. I was just, Tom, I wasn't on TikTok and I was fighting TikTok because I find TikTok was so distracting for everybody I knew. And I fought it. And Tom finally said to me last week, dude, you need to get on TikTok. And I'm like, I don't want to. And he's like, no. Like, you are a coach. We preach that in our network. You better know what you're talking about when you get on it. And he's right. So I got on it, but I posted a simple video. I got 1,200 views.
Oh, wow.
Like, so I text that to Tom, and Tom said, Jarrod, that's 1,200 people you were just up in front of. Where in the world could you get that for free? Right. So we have two jobs, prospecting and marketing. And in that job, we have two jobs, which is now to find listings, right? Find listings and work with buyers. Because I'd say find buyers, but buyers are not hard to find in today's world.
Right.
Now, most agents go, oh, listings, there's none out there. It's too hard. Here's the truth. We don't have a listing shortage. Like, that's a mindset that's not true. We have all the listings we need. It's just that they're moving so quick off the market because we have an oversupply of buyers. Right. And our interest rates are so low and all of that sort of stuff. So they're snapping up our properties, but it's still on the listing side. And so one strategy that I'm using with all my clients is we're putting together a CMA a day for our sphere of influence, or getting up in front of our sphere of influence. And the CMA a day is just simply what year they bought their home, how much it was worth, what was the interest rate in that year, what their home is worth today, what the interest rate is, and how much they've made since they bought the house. And then we're putting a few comparables with the list price, the sold price, and how much it sold over, and we're sending it out to people. Because the average person they don't know what their home is worth. They don't know what interest rate their mortgage is at, and they don't know exactly what their plans are. And because they don't have any of those plans and they don't have any of that information, it doesn't matter to them. So our job is to get them that information, then pick up the phone and call them and say, hey, Andre, I just sent you a CMA of what your home is worth. What do you think of the value? Right. And so that
conversations.
Yeah, that's going to start that conversation, right? Again, marketing and lead generation, right? And then the buyers, it's really about having the right conversation up front, right? It's covering the big thing, getting them to know what multiple offers are, getting them to make sure that they're not just pre-qualified, but got extra money to buy above, like all of that sort of stuff, like having that conversation up front, because so many agents who represent buyers lose it at the very end. They lose
after they spent the weeks and weeks of showing hundreds of properties, and then getting the multiple offer situation and they advise their people on what to do. Yeah, the buyer's not serious enough. The buyer don't want to be multiple offers. The buyers can't afford it, and all those conversations should be had up front and in advance. So I would encourage, if you're working with buyers, make sure those conversations are happening up in, like, we always had a buyer needs analysis done up front in advance, even in the other markets. Then we looked at needs and wants of what the buyer wanted. But in today's business, that up front isn't about needs and wants as much, because guess what? There's very few homes on the market. It's more about, are you prepared to, fight the battle, in this finding a home, right? And so, like, those are the two ends of the spectrum. And if you're not all in, you're going to be all out. Like, you've got to be all in this market, because if not, you're going to be beat out, right? Especially if you're a solo agent. Solo agents are hard because, you're now having to play every role. And I believe the life of the solo agent is slowly fading away. That's great. Great advice, Jarrod. Thanks for sharing that with us. Change gears a little bit. So, you're a full-time coach. That's what you're doing full-time, right? Is that 40 hours a week, or? I mean, I would say, like, I work full days, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, half a day Monday. So not 40 hours, but pretty close to it. I create freedom on the other days to work on other projects and to, work in EXP stuff and that sort of stuff. But yeah. Right. So, what I was getting compared is because, like, myself, when I got plugged into EXP originally, I was an inside sales agent for 2 years for a couple of friends. And I was working 9 to 5, Monday to Friday. So compare that to an agent out there just selling a ton of houses, working 40, sometimes 50, 60 hours a week. And so that's where I was going with that. And you're kind of doing the same thing as a coach. But tell us a little bit about your EXP organization and how long have you been in the company, and what does your organization look like?
So I've been in the company, gosh, Andre, I don't know. How long have I been in the company? It's probably going on a year and a half now. Not long, like maybe a year and a half. I think it'll maybe close to 2 years. I don't know. Not very long. You ask about my organization. I know you're going to be mad at me because you know I should know this right off the top.
You should know your numbers, right, Jarrod?
Yeah, that's right. Exactly. Maybe I need some coaching. So like, in all honesty, like I haven't, like when you talk about working full time, I haven't spent very much time on recruiting because it's not something that
I know
that I've had time to do. And you and I have had that conversation. Is I need to get more engaged in that. But I still have 64 people in my rev share tree right now. My goal is to get it to 100. And it's been a year and a half. And here's the deal: I haven't really had one recruiting call that I've made. I've had a lot of people that have reached out and said, "Hey, tell me why you moved," or I've made, I did have a couple that, "Hey, I think this model would work for you. Are you open to hearing about it?" And I haven't spent any time on it. One of the reasons I'm here, I'm going to retire in 4 years. I have 4 years left that I want to retire out, and so between now and 4 years, I'm going to build this up to where, like, and my direct sponsor above me is Pierre. And Pierre is a perfect example of exactly how I want to do it. Like he is the epitome of how I want to do it and how he's been so successful at it.
And that's what I wanted to get at to talk to our listeners, is because some people look at EXP as they're a recruiting company. They've got a bunch of calls or whatever. But the truth is only 5% of 74,000 agents are actually spending any time with agent attraction. That's what we're doing. We're attracting the right agents to the company. It's not a good fit for everybody, obviously. And we're just looking for the right people that are looking for us, that are the right fit. But you're a perfect example of having, a good sized organization, and you really haven't spent any time trying to grow it. It's kind of growing organically with people calling you and reaching out. And you get a couple of great players that help things grow. What I share with people is, hey, if you're a buyer's agent, you're a listing agent, you're doing both. It's all about just keep doing what you're doing, but at the same exact time, you're having conversations with a real estate agent, and just sincerely, ask them about how what's working in their business. Share what's working in your business and help them. And then normally they're asking you, well, yeah, I see you have an EXP card or whatever. How do you like it? And normally people are asking you, and we're attracting the right people. So congratulations on what you've already built. And I'm excited to see what's gonna happen here in the near future.
And Andre, the only piece of advice I have on that is, if you're in EXP and you're not in it going, I just recruit, and I don't want you to be in it if that's just your goal. Like I don't, like, to be honest with you, I don't need you, for the company. I don't think that that's the right approach. But here's the truth: I want you to be open-minded to sharing what the company is, because it's easy for us in our head to tell ourselves this story of, well, I don't want to be seen as this salesperson. I don't want to be seen as this recruiter. Or you say it to somebody and they go, oh, you're with the EXP. They're just a recruiting company. Like, it's easy for them to get in your head to prevent you from growing your network. So you don't have to be out there, selling EXP nonstop to people. That's not what I think. But what you need to be is open-minded enough to sharing the opportunity with inquisitive people that want to learn, and don't be afraid to do it. Because I talk to a lot of people that kind of go, oh, yeah, I don't do it because I don't want to be seen as that. And I'm like, dude, that's a shame. Like, that's a shame that that's your mindset around it, because this is a great opportunity. And the people that I've shared it with, some of them have doubled their business. Some of them have done so much better. Some of them are loving it. Some of them are adding more. So I'm excited to share it. And so be open-minded to sharing it, because some people aren't.
And some people that are a good fit, like Pierre, it's going to change their, not just their business, but their life, right? Like,
yep.
Pierre shared that he's 4x'd his net income 4 times, and he was an independent broker with 13 agents, and now he's he's a partner with us. I think I don't remember if it's 30 or 40. Either way, he did. I think it's 30 that he just hit, 30 or 40. His own independent office.
Yeah, office.
But I think he has 370 in his organization.
Yeah,
only in a couple years. But
and I've known him. And I've known Pierre a long time, so I knew him back when he was running his office and like you said, working 80 hours a week. Not only running an office, running his business. So I mean, I know what a successful real estate agent he was in running his own office and his own team. And I see him now. I mean, he has drastically gone to the other side, and his mindset, I don't want to say has shifted, because his mindset was always, I want to help other people, why he had a brokerage and all that. But now it's all about, man, if I can help more people learn what I learned, I'm going to win. Yeah. They're going to win. And it's just like that transformation with him has been like, I've seen it, it's been big for me, because I look at that. I mean, Pierre's been a mentor of mine and someone that I've looked up to for years. And what he's done is like crazy. It's exactly what I want.
He doesn't do it on his own time. I know he likes to golf, and he told me he's golfing three times a week. And in his Arizona home right now, as we speak, and not in the cold weather of Kingston, Ontario. Just a couple more minutes, and we'll wrap it up. Jarrod, I'd like to ask if there is one thing that you can share with anyone that's listening today, that you've talked to, maybe you've never talked to, what would, and they're watching this interview, what would you want them to take away from this interview today?
Man, if they're not with EXP right now, is learn it on your own. Don't listen to what's out there, because there's so many things and there's so many stories that people have created and made up. And it's not that they're not true. They're just a story on a different way. Because like I know when I came into it, owning a franchise that was a big competitor, the stories that I heard from that level, right? And I get to hear from the top level. And like I'd say, don't listen to the stories. Go learn for yourself what it is. Like, I mean, we get the number one objection, which is, oh, it's a multi-level marketing company. And we could call it a bowl of jelly if you're going to pay me so much a month for doing what I do anyway and give me free stock. I don't care what you want to call it. Like, that's the reality. But go learn for yourself. Don't be buying into the stories that are on the street, because the stories are from the people who are scared. Like, the stories are created from the people who are scared, that or they're fear-based. Learn for yourself. Be open-minded. Call me, call you, call anybody, and just say, I just want you to share the story. I don't want you to, I don't want you to be hardcore recruiting me and being a pain in the butt. I just want to hear your story. Be open to hearing the story, because again, Pierre says it to me all the time. When you see it, you can't unsee it. And it's kind of true, right? When you see it, you can't unsee it. And so whether it fits today, whether it will fit tomorrow, there's going to be a point at which you're going to think in your head and go, I got to go back. I mean, Pierre's a perfect example of that. Look at his story. He's like, I'm not interested in doing anything. And I don't know if it was you who shared the model with him or who it was. And he slept on it for a couple of nights. And then he went, man, I got to learn more. It's really ticking me off, because I had no intentions of doing anything. Right.
Yeah. If you could do it all over again, Jarrod, with joining EXP, what would you do differently?
I mean, it's probably very much what a lot of people say is I would have done it sooner. I let the false word, I let fear, I let all of that get in my way from taking this step. And I wish I would have done it sooner rather than later. And I let that fear get in the way of me doing it sooner. And I told myself all the reasons I shouldn't versus all the reasons I should. Right. And so I know that's probably the number one answer, but it's the truth. Like, it is just the reality of it. So
yeah, thanks for sharing that with us. Hey, if you need some coaching help, if you're looking to learn more about EXP, you want to pick Jarrod's brain about the model. He's a well sought out coach in three different countries that he's coaching people around the world. He can certainly help you about EXP, about just growing your business. Please reach out to Jarrod at the phone number there that we have on the screen. And I'm sure he'll be very happy to just answer questions and see what it would look like to partner with us or just get more information.
Absolutely. And man, Andre, I appreciate you. I appreciate everything you do. And man, you again, you've grown the organization in such amazing ways. So I appreciate you for flowing all that stuff downward.
Yeah, you're very welcome. Thanks for being on the podcast today. I always end with ask people, hey, if you're a reader, what's the the favorite book that you want to recommend, or if you're a movie watcher, what's your favorite movie that people have to see?
So that's tough. I'm a big reader. I mean, my bookshelf is full of books here, so I could go through 100 and say, how about this? I'll give you two of my favorite authors for two different reasons. Okay. One is John Gordon, and if you haven't read any of John Gordon's books, I mean, there's all kinds, but let me see. Holy cow! I'm going to say they're all over my other bookshelf. But like Row the Boat is one, but he has a book called The Energy Bus. The Energy Bus, and it's really about, they're simple reads, right? They're, because like I like to say, I'm beautiful. I'm just not that smart. I don't want to get in too deep of a book. So they're story-based books, but they're really, really good books. And he's got a bunch, like The Energy Bus, Row Your Boat, In the Locker Room First, all kinds of them. Second author is that. So again, it's about fueling energy and positive energy and all that. Amazing author. Second one is same name, John Maxwell. And John Maxwell is all about leadership. And I'm huge on leadership because I believe that, well, first of all, I believe our world needs more leadership. Second of all is, in order for us to grow, we need to learn to be, master leadership. So I love his 5 levels of leadership, of where you stand in people's lives. I also love 15 Laws of Growth because, again, 15 Laws of Growth talks about how do you grow as an individual? How do you grow your organization through the proper leadership? And I believe like leadership is where it's at, right? So was that a good enough answer?
Yeah, that was great. And I know you're a great leader as well, so that's some pretty good advice. Thanks so much, Jarrod, for jumping on our Freedom Friday Forever podcast. And we'll see you at one of the next live events here real soon.
Absolutely. Thanks, guys. Peace out.
All right. Take care, Jarrod.